Jetzt?
Ich begrüße Jason Miller, das ist der Wahlkampfchef von Ex-Präsident Donald Trump in den USA gewesen. Wir können uns leider nur auf Englisch unterhalten, doch was er sagt, das hat es wirklich in sich. I'm very pleased, Jason Miller, to meet you today here in Berlin.
Thank you very much, and I do come bearing gifts. Official Getter hat with the German colors of the German flag, so a very limited edition hat just for you. So we'll put that right there, so hopefully you'll just see it on you in the future.
Ja, er ist jetzt Chef von Getter, der alternativen Plattform. Aber worüber wir reden wollen, ist natürlich, was Präsident Trump im Moment macht und ob er wieder antreten will. How is Donald Trump doing at the moment? Where is he, and is he going for the next election?
So he's in Bedminster, New Jersey now. He's essentially the world's most famous snowbird, which means that he spends the winter months at Mar-a-Lago down in Florida, and then the summer months in Bedminster in New Jersey,
which is close to New York.
Yeah, about 45 minutes outside of New York City. I do think that President Trump runs again in 2024, but I don't think it'll be against Joe Biden. I think it'll be Democrats will pick somebody else.
Who is the other one who is going for the election then?
So on the Democrat side, I think Kamala Harris, the vice president.
Kamala Harris?
She will try. She won't win.
Okay.
But Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, I think will try. But Trump won't be alone on the Republican side. There will be other people running against him.
And how do you see the chances that he will win this election?
Very good. Right now.
Really?
Yeah. Right now, all the polls have him beating Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, but it's a long ways away. Right now, inflation is out of control, gas prices, obviously you have the Russian invasion of Ukraine, crisis at the southern border. Fast forward 2 years, things could be a lot different.
There is this thing, election fraud, still a topic in the United States. Wir sprechen jetzt über den sogenannten Wahlkampfbetrug, ob das immer noch in den USA eine wichtige Geschichte ist.
It's a big topic right now because of the January 6th hearings that are going on in Congress. That's where the Democrats in Congress are essentially trying to essentially punish President Trump and the media for the January 6th, the riots that happened outside of the Capitol. And so there's big discussion about the voting issues and both the laws, but as far as most people, they're just mainly concerned about the economy.
Yeah, but do you think do you believe in election fraud? Do we have evidence that this really happened?
So there was election fraud and irregularities on election day. I don't think there was enough on election day to overturn or change the election. I do think that there are a number of the laws and rules that were changed on the voting systems during the year. So they essentially changed the rules in the middle of the game, which disproportionately helped the Democrats. But there wasn't enough fraud on election day that I saw that would have overturned it.
And how is ex-President Donald Trump doing at the moment? Is he still your friend? Ich frage ihn jetzt mal, wie es Donald Trump so geht, denn er ist ja eigentlich ein Freund von ihm, ein ganz enger Freund.
Absolutely. So I'm still a big supporter of his. I think he's probably a little bit frustrated that the Democrats are getting so many attacks on him with these hearings, these congressional hearings, and he's not really able to respond.
That means it's this insurrection thing. Es heißt ja, dass der Sturm aufs Kapitol tatsächlich also ein Putsch sein sollte. Was it really meant as a, how do you say, insurrection?
Well, no. I mean, I think what happened was there were essentially a loose confederacy of people who took their protesting out of hand, and it became violent at the Capitol, and they obviously smashed inside, and you can never go and hurt law enforcement or go and smash government property like that. And so there were some bad actors, but it was not some master coordinated event.
Also er sagt, dass es gar kein Putsch war, sondern dass es lose Gruppen von Menschen waren, die sich irgendwie zusammengefunden haben, natürlich auch über Social Media. What I am surprised of, worüber ich sehr überrascht bin, how was it possible to just storm the White House? I mean, don't they have enough military there or enough people to protect this holy space?
Well, so you have the White House where the president is, and then the Capitol building where you have the attack, and that's where Congress is. They're about a mile, maybe a mile and a half apart from each other, a little over a mile. And there should have been much more security. That should never have that should never have happened. But the offer for additional security troops was turned down by Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and that made it possible for this to happen. If we had had more National Guard there, then this never would have occurred.
There are also rumors that the FBI has mingled, was involved somehow in this thing, or is this a conspiration theory?
So what made it, I'll tell you the reason why I don't give you a straight answer, is because the director of the FBI was in front of Congress and testifying, and he was asked the question, were there any federal FBI agents that were among the people? And he didn't give a straight answer. And so many people have taken that to believe that there were FBI people in there. So it's, I don't think ultimately there was a driving force, but there are a lot of questions based on those answers.
How's the mood in America at the moment among the people? What can you tell us?
People are upset. Inflation is out of control. People see the immigration crisis at the southern border. They see gas prices going through the roof. They see obviously the Russia's invasion of Ukraine, see China and the CCP rising up, and people are worried that they're no longer going to be able to keep up with the economy.
So do you think that the Republicans really have a chance with the next election? And is Donald Trump the only candidate?
So in 2022, the midterms, the Republicans will win back the lower house of Congress and then the Senate, the upper chamber as well. And I think in 2024, Republicans will be well positioned to defeat whether it's Biden or any Democrat they put up. And especially with the economy, I don't see it turning around in short order. I think this is going to be squarely on the Democrats as we go into 2024.
You are the CEO, so to say, of GTTR. That is a new platform that promises really freedom of speech. How do you consider the state of freedom of speech in the United States and in Europe? Ist ja der Chef von GTTR, der neuen Social-Plattform. Ich habe ihn jetzt gefragt, wie denn die Meinungsfreiheit sieht in Amerika und in Deutschland.
So freedom of speech is under attack in a huge way in the United States and around the world. So in the United States, much of the attack against free speech is coming from big tech, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, who are going in and picking winners and losers in free speech. If they agree with you, then your content is left alone. If they disagree with you, you find yourself shadow banned or warning labels get put on. So the fight with big tech against regular people is out of control. Here in Germany, much of the problem is with the EU and with the Digital Safety Act that they just passed, yes, which is essentially going to put the EU in charge of moderation. And they will have the ability to call almost anyone misleading news, or to say that it's fake news. And so the concern there is that if it's an opinion, a political opinion, that they simply disagree with, it could be labeled as fake news and it could have to be removed. There's also the UK has similar legislation called the Online Safety Bill that's going through Parliament right now, and it could have the same impact.
Do you think that in the Western world the freedom of speech is in danger? Ist in den westlichen Demokratien die Freiheit der Meinung in Gefahr?
Absolutely, because what's happening are these left of center governments are actually the ones who are becoming authoritarian, and they're taking away all of our free speech rights. This started with COVID, as they started to enact restrictions, and now they're so power hungry that they're looking to clamp down on anyone who disagrees with them. It doesn't matter if it's in Canada, the United States, France, Germany, the UK. We're seeing it all over the world, quite frankly. But this is really, it's almost what George Orwell was talking about in 1984.
George Orwell.
And the only difference is he may have been off by a few years, but he wasn't wrong in what the eventual outcome is going to be.
Yeah, because in the future you can have a opinion, but you cannot speak out. You cannot say it. You cannot publish it. It's not only about COVID. It's also about CO2 and all the other topics where when you are not of the opinion of the government, you get banned, you get deleted or something.
Cancel culture. And that's the two principles that we have with GTTR are to support free speech and to oppose cancel culture. And the way that it is now, in fact, There was landmark gun legislation, or landmark gun ruling to the Supreme Court yesterday, and which is very big to go and win a case like that. And immediately the law firm where the two lawyers worked who won the case were fired. They said, the law firm said, either get rid of your pro-gun clients or you're fired, and so they left. Everything gets canceled in the United States, and
in Germany too. I mean, with other topics.
And I have to say, it could be everything from gay rights or trans rights. If you don't show big support for trans athletes, then you're transphobic and you must be canceled. It doesn't. Everybody must be canceled all the time for any reason. Sooner or later, there's going to be nobody left. Everybody's going to be canceled.
Yes, I mean, this is the end of the story. I mean, I'm of the opinion that this media world and also the social world becomes more and more hysterical. If you make a little mistake, it gets boom, and you get cancelled, or you get a storm of aggression.
Well, and the other thing too is when we talk about the cancel culture, the UK bill, the online safety bill that they're putting, they have this phrase called legal but harmful. This is a serious question here. So let's say, for example, you're a passionate and devout Catholic. That's your belief. Maybe as a devout Catholic, you do not believe in, say, gay marriage. You do not believe in the trans agenda. So by having your religious belief, does that then mean that you're harmful towards somebody else? That's where many people, particularly in the faith-based community, are worried this is going. That it's going to cancel religion, that's going to cancel any freedom of speech, and unless you go along with the government on anything, you're going to get canceled.
How did it all begin? I mean, when I remember 10 years ago, I mean, there was no such a thing like we are talking now. Is this a left-green phenomenon that cancel culture comes to us?
So I think it originally started with academia. And I think for so long we turned a blind eye to what was happening with our children, with our college campuses, and before we knew it, an entire generation had their thinking molded in a certain way. And so then when it got into more recent times, the people that essentially had grown up in that more liberal ideology thought that, well, we're going to start canceling people, and corporations have become so scared that if somebody says boo, then corporations say, oh, okay, we can't go and spend money, we have to cancel this person or cancel that event.
Mm-hmm. Is it true that you get fired from US universities when you say there are only two genders?
That has happened, or they label them a transphobe, or I don't know, what do they even call that if you believe in 47 or 74
if you believe in men
genders,
and women, you're an extremist. Over.
Yes, that means that you're homophobic if you.
And I heard of certain teachers, professors that were fired afterwards because they made this mistake. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely the case, and it's become this what they call wokeism.
Yes.
Wokeism, and in fact, one of the popular memes in the U.S. is basically images of people pushing the Ukraine flag out of the way and bringing in the gay pride flag, because now it's Pride Month. And so it's kind of the month by month, there are different hot button topics, and if you're not on the right side, that means you're phobic about whatever the issue is that month.
Yeah, but this is a new form of, isn't it a new form of totalitarianism? I mean, if only one side can speak out and can say their opinion, and always says when somebody else has another opinion, let's say there are two genders, men and women, that he will be, deleted.
So I think that's a really smart observation.
New form of totalitarianism.
You're 100% right, because the difference between Western society under the attack of wokeism and, say, society like China, where there is no freedom of thought or expression. If you disagree with the party, they'll kill you. I mean, that's how it is. Look at what they're doing to Hong Kong. Look what they're doing to the Uyghurs. What they're doing to the people in Tibet, and especially in a country like Germany that for so long was behind much of the country was behind the Iron Curtain. People here have a very vivid memory of what it's like to not have free speech, to have those rights taken away from you. In my opinion, I think many Americans have gotten lazy and now take for granted our free speech rights, and that's a concern that these leftist governments are now becoming the new totalitarianisms.
What can we do about it?
Well, we have to, number one, make sure that we protect the free speech that we have. That means using different social media platforms to get the word out. Everything doesn't have to go through the same big newspapers. It doesn't have to go through the same big television channels. We have streaming outlets. We have new forms of social media, so it's not all controlled by Twitter and Facebook. There are other outlets that we can go to, including Getter and others that are launching. But then we also need to start electing people who go and advocate for things such as freedom and not just giving everything to the state or allowing the state to control everything.
Is the media in the United States also, I mean, was heißt gleichgeschaltet? Synchronized. In Germany, the TV and the newspapers, and so they all are of the same stuff, you know. Is this the same thing in America, or is there more opinion? Is there a broader meaning field?
I think it may even be worse in the United States. And I'll give you an example, if you can believe that. In just a couple of weeks before the presidential election in 2020, it turned out that Hunter Biden, the President Biden's son, had left his laptop at a repair store, and it turns out all of the family's business dealings were on the laptop. Business dealings with Ukraine, business dealings with China. Plus there were a lot of interesting pictures of Hunter Biden. I'll just, you can go online if you and search for it if you want to see it, but the business dealings are more important. Twitter and Facebook shut it down, even though it was reported by the New York Post, the oldest newspaper in America. You couldn't share the story on social media. The media wouldn't report on it. They said it was Russian disinformation, except that it turned out to all be true.
Yeah, but this is a way that we are going at the moment. Huh? Only one opinion, one meaning. It's not China, but or GDR, the former east part of Germany. But I mean, sometimes it feels like that. You can have an opinion, but you cannot publish it.
Well, I mean, even take a look at Canada, for example. Justin Trudeau is now seizing bank accounts, going in, seizing, trying to take away additional guns. And much of it starts under the guise of keeping people safe. Well, we're the only ones who know how to keep people safe. But to keep you safe, we must take away your rights.
Okay, we are over time already. Jason Miller, wenn ihr Zeit und Lust habt, geht doch mal auf Getter. Das ist eine neue Plattform. Sie verspricht wirklich Meinungsfreiheit. And when you come back to Germany, please come with Donald Trump. I like to make an interview with him, give him the best regards from Germany, here from Berlin. Jason Miller, thank you very much to talk to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.